Imagine you're alone at home and suddenly you feel an unsettling sensation in your chest. It's not the dramatic movie-style heart attack you might expect, but something subtler yet deeply alarming. Your heart races, your breath feels short, and a sense of dread creeps in. This is a scenario no one wants to face, but it's one that happens far more often than most of us realize. Heart attacks don't always wait for a crowd or a convenient moment. They can strike when you're alone, with no one nearby to help. The reality is, the first few minutes of a heart attack are the most critical, and what you do, or don't do, can mean the difference between life and death. The good news? Even if you're completely by yourself, you're not powerless. There are practical, straightforward steps you can take to increase your chances of survival, no matter where you are or how alone you might feel. You don't need to be a medical professional, nor do you need specialized equipment. What you need is knowledge, preparation, and the ability to stay calm under pressure. In this guide, we'll walk you through 7 essential actions to take if you suspect a heart attack is starting and you're on your own. These steps are designed to be simple, actionable, and most importantly, life-saving. We'll cover how to recognize the early warning signs, what immediate actions to take, how to minimize strain on your heart, and the small but critical moves that can buy you enough time for help to arrive. Stick with us until the end, because the final steps are often the ones people overlook, yet they could be the key to your survival. Don't wait until it's too late to understand what your body is trying to tell you. Let's dive in and empower you with the tools to act fast and save your own life. The first step in surviving a heart attack alone is recognizing the warning signs as early as possible. Many people imagine a heart attack as an unmistakable, crushing pain in the chest, like something out of a Hollywood blockbuster. But in reality, the symptoms can be far less dramatic and much easier to dismiss. This is why knowing what to look for, not just in your chest, but across your entire body, is so crucial. A heart attack often begins with a sensation of pressure or squeezing in the center of your chest. It might feel like someone is sitting on your chest, or as though your chest is gradually filling with a heavy, unyielding weight. This discomfort may come and go, tricking you into thinking it's not serious. But if it persists for more than a few minutes or keeps returning, you cannot afford to ignore it. Beyond chest pain, other symptoms can signal a heart attack. Shortness of breath is a common early sign, even if your chest feels fine. You might feel as though you've just climbed a steep hill, despite sitting perfectly still. Some people experience pain or discomfort that radiates to their arms, often the left arm, but sometimes both, shoulders, neck, jaw, or even the upper back. Others report feeling lightheaded, dizzy, or breaking out in a cold sweat. Nausea, particularly in women or older adults, can also be a red flag. In some cases, the discomfort might feel more like indigestion or pressure in the stomach than anything directly related to the chest. For example, consider Richard, a 74-year-old retiree who was sitting at his kitchen table one morning when he noticed an odd tightness under his collarbone. It felt almost like heartburn, but then he realized he couldn't take a deep breath, and his palms were clammy. He recalled reading that heart attack symptoms aren't always obvious, so instead of brushing it off, he took action. That decision likely saved his life. The body often sends subtle signals before a crisis escalates, and with a heart attack, those early whispers are your best chance to act before irreversible damage occurs. Waiting for the stereotypical clutching at the chest moment could mean waiting too long. If you notice a combination of symptoms, pressure in your chest, shortness of breath, unusual fatigue, or discomfort in other parts of your body, stop what you're doing immediately. Don't dismiss it as indigestion or stress. Don't try to tough it out. Recognizing these signs and taking them seriously is your first and most vital step towards survival. Once you suspect a heart attack, the next critical action is to call emergency services without delay. This is not the time to second-guess yourself. Wait to see if the symptoms fade, or try to handle it on your own. Dialing 911 or your country's equivalent emergency number is the single most effective thing you can do to stay alive. Every second counts during a heart attack. The longer your heart muscle is deprived of oxygen, the more damage it sustains. By calling emergency services, you're not just summoning help. You're setting in motion a chain of events that brings trained professionals life-saving equipment, and critical medications directly to you. Paramedics are prepared to stabilize you on the spot, and if necessary, keep your heart beating if it stops en route to the hospital. Trying to drive yourself to the hospital is one of the worst decisions you could make. If your symptoms worsen, and they often do, you could lose consciousness, cause an accident, or delay the care you need. Even if you make it to the hospital, you'll likely have to wait for triage, whereas an ambulance crew begins treatment the moment they reach you. Consider Linda, a 78-year-old grandmother who felt a strange ache in her left shoulder, followed by nausea and a cold sweat. Her first instinct was to call her son for advice, but she remembered a nurse's words. If you're alone and think it's a heart attack, call 911 first, then worry about family. She made the call, and by the time the paramedics arrived, her symptoms had intensified. The team was ready to act, stabilizing her on the spot. That single phone call was the difference between life and death. You don't need to be certain it's a heart attack to call for help. Emergency dispatchers are trained to assess your symptoms over the phone and won't judge you if it turns out to be something else. In fact, they'd rather respond to a false alarm than miss a chance to save a life. If you live alone, keep your phone within easy reach at all times. On your nightstand, in your pocket, or near your favorite chair. Many smartphones have an emergency call feature accessible even from a locked screen. Familiarize yourself with it now so you're not fumbling in a panic later. If you can't speak clearly, press the emergency button and let the dispatcher guide you. Acting fast by calling for help is your lifeline, and it's a step you cannot skip. After calling 911, the next powerful step you can take is to chew an aspirin, slowly and deliberately. This simple action can significantly boost your chances of surviving a heart attack. If you have a standard 325 mg aspirin, not a coated or delayed release version, and you're not allergic or on a blood thinner that contraindicates it, chewing an aspirin can be a game changer. Aspirin works by thinning the blood, which helps prevent or slow the growth of a blood clot that may be blocking a coronary artery, the root cause of most heart attacks. Chewing the tablet, rather than swallowing it whole, allows it to enter your bloodstream faster, potentially restoring some blood flow to your heart in those critical early minutes. Studies have shown that this small act can reduce heart muscle damage and buy you precious time until paramedics arrive. For example, Joe, a 72-year-old retiree, felt a tightness spreading from his chest to his neck one morning. He remembered keeping aspirin in his kitchen cabinet, so he grabbed a tablet, chewed it slowly, and sat down to wait for help. Later, his cardiologist told him that this single action likely minimized the damage to his heart. If you live alone, make sure aspirin is easily accessible. Store it in your nightstand, kitchen drawer, or even your wallet. Check the expiration date regularly and let your loved ones know where you keep it in case they need to find it for you. If you only have coated aspirin, chew it anyway. The goal is to get it into your system as quickly as possible. Avoid taking aspirin on an empty stomach unless absolutely necessary, but in a heart attack, the risk of a clot far outweighs any minor stomach irritation. This step is not a mere suggestion. It's a proven intervention used by emergency responders worldwide. In those fleeting moments, chewing an aspirin could be the difference between walking out of the hospital and not making it there at all. Once you've called for help and taken aspirin, your next priority is to protect your heart by minimizing its workload. This means stopping all physical activity and sitting or lying down in a safe, comfortable position. Moving around, pacing, or trying to gather belongings puts unnecessary strain on your already struggling heart. Even small efforts can deplete the oxygen your heart needs to keep functioning. Ideally, sit with your back supported, feet flat on the floor, and arms resting loosely at your sides. This position reduces the demand on your heart while you wait for help. If you feel faint or lightheaded, lie down on your side with your head slightly elevated to avoid choking if nausea worsens. Resist the urge to power through the discomfort or finish whatever you are doing. For example, Alice, an 81-year-old widow, felt pressure radiating across her chest while cleaning her kitchen. Her instinct was to tidy up and get herself together, but she recalled her doctor's advice: if you think it's your heart, sit down. Everything else can wait. She settled into her recliner and focused on staying calm. That decision likely prevented her symptoms from escalating into cardiac arrest. Doing nothing in this moment is doing something vital. It gives your heart a chance to stabilize, slows your breathing, and conserves your body's limited oxygen supply. If you're in a chair without armrests, avoid slumping. Keep your spine supported to maintain open breathing. The goal is to reduce your heart's effort as much as possible, giving it the best chance to hold on until help arrives. This step requires discipline, especially if you're tempted to stay active or feel embarrassed about overreacting. But in a heart attack, stillness is your ally, and every moment of rest is a moment your heart can use to fight. If you have the strength after calling 911 and settling down, take one more practical step. Unlock your front door. This small action can make a big difference. Paramedics are trained to break in if necessary, but a locked door delays their access to you, and in a heart attack, every second counts. Unlocking the door allows them to reach you faster, start treatment sooner, and avoid the chaos of forced entry, which could also startle or injure you if you're near the door. For example, Paul, a 76-year-old living in a small condo, felt heart attack symptoms and managed to call 911, chew an aspirin, and unlock his front door within 2 minutes. The paramedics later told him that this saved them critical seconds, allowing them to begin care almost immediately. If you live alone, especially in an apartment or gated community, think about logistics in advance. Is your door easy to open? Is your address clearly visible? Do you have a spare key accessible to a neighbor or stored in a medical lockbox? These preparations might seem trivial until they become urgent. If walking to the door feels too risky, don't do it. Stay still and focus on your breathing. But if you're near the door and feel steady enough, unlocking it can be a lifesaver. Consider installing a smart lock with remote access or a key box for emergencies, especially if mobility is a challenge. This simple act signals to responders that you're ready for them, clearing the path for the help you need. Your phone is more than just a tool to call for help. It's a lifeline during a heart attack. One smart way to use it is to switch to speakerphone when talking to the 911 dispatcher. This frees your hands, reduces physical strain, and allows you to focus on breathing and staying calm. Holding a phone to your ear can be surprisingly taxing when you're in distress, and it may restrict your breathing. Speakerphone also lets the dispatcher hear you clearly, even if you become too weak to speak, and they can pick up on background cues like your breathing or movements to assess your condition. Another critical feature is your phone's medical ID, available on both iPhones and Android devices. This feature, accessible from the lock screen, can store vital information like your age, medical conditions, medications, allergies, and emergency contacts. If you lose consciousness before help arrives, this data can guide paramedics' decisions and prevent potentially harmful mistakes. For instance, Susan, a 79-year-old diabetic, passed out just before paramedics reached her. Because her medical ID listed her condition and penicillin allergy, the team avoided a dangerous medication error and quickly contacted her daughter. Setting up your medical ID takes just a few minutes and could make all the difference. Include your name, birth date, major conditions, medications, allergies, and at least one emergency contact. Practice accessing your phone's emergency features now so you're prepared in a crisis. By using speakerphone and your medical ID, you ensure that your phone continues to work for you, even if you can't. Finally, in the midst of a heart attack's chaos, your breath becomes a powerful tool to steady your heart and calm your body. Panic is natural. Your chest is tight, your mind is racing, and every moment feels overwhelming. But by controlling your breathing, you can reduce stress on your heart and prevent it from spiraling into dangerous arrhythmias. You don't need a complex technique, a simple approach will do. Try breathing in slowly through your nose for 4 seconds, holding for a moment, and exhaling gently through your mouth for 6 seconds. Repeat this cycle, focusing on the rhythm. It won't stop the heart attack, but it can lower your heart rate, conserve oxygen, and keep your body from going into shock. Frank, an 83-year-old widower, felt overwhelming fear when his symptoms began, but he recalled a breathing exercise from a doctor's visit. By focusing on slow, deliberate breaths, he kept his heart from escalating into full arrest before help arrived. You can practice this technique anytime, while resting, watching TV, or even during moments of stress, to make it second nature. In a crisis, your body will fall back on what's familiar, And slow breathing can be the anchor that buys you time. It's a small but powerful way to tell your heart, hold on, help is coming. Surviving a heart attack alone isn't about luck. It's about preparation, awareness, and decisive action. These 7 steps form a chain of survival. Recognize the warning signs, call 911 immediately, chew an aspirin, sit or lie down to rest. Unlock your door, use your phone's features, and slow your breathing. Each step buys you time, conserves your strength, and maximizes your chances of getting through the crisis. A heart attack may feel like the ultimate solitude, but you're not helpless. You have tools, knowledge, and a plan. Reflect on which of these steps surprised you or felt new. Maybe it's the idea of chewing aspirin or setting up your phone's medical ID. Think about how you can integrate these into your life, perhaps by keeping aspirin accessible or practicing slow breathing today. Share this knowledge with someone you care about. It could save their life too. Preparation isn't just about surviving, it's about taking control, even in the scariest moments. You're stronger than you think, and these steps prove it.